My favorite movie is Jovi. You ready, Kat? Hair looks good.
Hi, I'm Kat.
I'm Mike. And this is Jason over here getting licked. And he's gonna tell you what his top 5 movies are of all time.
I'm gonna do it in no particular order. So first of all,
what's the list? What is on your list? What's on the list?
So my first movie I'm gonna mention is Scream. I even have, it's right over there.
Right now I'm just looking at a door. He's lost his mind.
When this came out, I became obsessed with it. And what's kind of funny is I didn't see it in the theater. I only had a VHS tape of it.
Yeah.
And my 2 friends were like, Jay's gonna kill somebody. I killed them. What really attached me to it was sort of about old horror movies. Like the climax of Scream, the score is from Halloween. Classic.
Playing on the TV while they're doing it, and they have that nerd who's explaining, oh, when you lose your virginity, that's when you always die and all that stuff. I love all the rules.
So,
I'll never die then.
So what Scream started back then was this whole trend of starting horror movies again. Definitely one of my all-time favorite films. The character of Ghostface is iconic. They literally went to this 5 and dime shop and picked out the mask. This place called Funland makes the mask. You can order it online, but that's a
well, you can order it from anywhere now, pretty much.
Wes Craven told Drew Barrymore before every take that he was going to step on the heads of puppies, and that's what got her so emotional at the beginning of Scream.
Why would that get her emotional?
Animal rights person. So
I don't get it.
That's my #1 on the list. Is it my all-time favorite? I don't know. And in Scream 2, it's essentially about Scream 1. They make a film about Scream 1. It's called Stab. Original posters of Stab. And this was actually in Scream. So there's only about...
That's hard to get.
8 of these made for Scream 2. And if you watch Scream 2, these are in the movie poster boxes lit up. So I'm a huge fan. So my next film has to be Halloween.
He wrote that, the whole score in 2 to 3 days?
Yep.
That is amazing.
So this is what really started it all. This was the #1 independent film for the longest time. This was just like the Blair Witch when it came out. Jamie Lee Curtis stars in Halloween.
Hot!
You have to know that. Janet Leigh from Psycho is Jamie Lee's actual mother. She kind of carried the torch on from Psycho to Halloween. It's a very simple story. It's about babysitters being stalked by a character called Michael Myers, also known as The Shape. John Carpenter had no score attached to it, and he was like, I'm just gonna show it, let's show the investors. And the investors watched Halloween without the music and thought it was the biggest piece of crap they've ever seen. Like Mike said earlier, he wrote the score in about 3 to 4 days on like this piano. After he put the music on this, everyone was in love with it.
This is not just a score, this is freaking pop culture being made in 2 days.
Yeah.
The music is epic. People remember that all the time. I use it sometimes at Halloween to scare children at my house.
Yeah, I use it while taking a bath.
This is one of my all-time favorites. I definitely suggest you go check it out and forget about the remakes that were butchered by Mr. Zombie.
Yeah.
Just like in all other movies when they involve masks, they buy the original mask and they alter it to a certain degree so they don't get sued. So yes, Michael Myers' mask, believe it or not, is a William Shatner mask from Star Trek. So my next film on the list is definitely Fight Club. You can't go wrong there.
I've never heard of this.
So when Fight Club came out in the theater, I think I've seen it probably about 15 times when it was in the theater.
Yeah, I went with you 15 times.
I was obsessed with it. Now, Chuck Palahniuk, who wrote the novel for this, which it's based upon, he has this amazing way of writing. It's 10 years old now, but you watch it now and it feels like they just made it. When it came out in theaters, it bombed hardcore. And now it has a cult following. This is definitely on my top 5 list. I don't really need to get into detail why. If you're...
You should know.
Yeah.
It's really a psychological journey.
It is.
It really is amazing.
And if you want to listen to more about that, we do have a Blu-ray review where we talk about the movie and this lovely thing right here.
Here's the link to it.
There's a lot of similarities to this, I just realized, to your next movie on your top 5 list.
Well, obviously my next movie is Inception. Obviously,
why is that obvious?
Obviously it just came out. It's obvious because if you like me and you love me, you would know that. It just came out in theaters. If you haven't seen it yet, it's going to be tough for me to talk about it because I don't want to give away too many spoilers about it. But it's a lot like Fight Club. It's also a lot like The Matrix. And believe it or not, it's also a lot like Nightmare on Elm Street.
But at the same time, it's its own thing. And the acting was amazing. And you can also watch our review of Inception and see why Jay thinks it's so awesome.
And my next movie on the list is Shaun of the Dead. Now, the reason I'm putting this on the list and not Dawn of the Dead is because you all know I love Dawn of the Dead. I don't not wearing the shirt right now. This is the best zombie film since Dawn of the Dead, which it's basically based on. So if you haven't seen the original Dawn of the Dead, then you're missing out big time. It's poking fun at it, but in a very respectful way. It's not just lampooning the franchise.
It's not like Scary Movie.
You like that word?
Because it sounds so much like lame pooing.
It's
So like a word on a poo. Just
Your
like...
shit was lame.
So Shaun of the Dead is directed by Edgar Wright, who is doing Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which we will be reviewing. So in Shaun of the Dead, Edgar Wright directs it, and he has a very unique way of directing, and I thought I'm just in love with this because it's filled with pop culture references all over the place. And Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in a movie together are probably the best combo of two people I've ever seen on screen.
And you get to see them again in Hot Fuzz, where they're also amazing, and homage to tons of pop culture in that as well.
Shaun of the Dead starts off, and you're thinking like, what is this film? And then it just sucks you right in, and you're right in with it. So if you're a fan of like Spaced or any British comedy, then you're absolutely going to fall in love with Shaun of the Dead. Right to the very last shot of the film, it's amazing. They don't do any wrong turns. I would say that film's near perfect. Kind of is in the same universe as Dawn of the Dead, and George Romero himself, who made Dawn of the Dead, he highly respects the Shaun of the Dead guys.
He got their blessing.
Yeah, he got the blessing.
He went like
He came up
this.
and he was like, yes.
He went like this.
Naked.
I want to mention Shaun of the Dead was followed up by Hot Fuzz. Now Hot Fuzz is essentially Bad Boys 2 / Point Break / Speed and all those epic 80s and 90s amazing action films. Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, you have to go rent them. Go buy them on Blu-ray. They're only $20 right now in Canada each. So some of my honorable mentions, we're both probably going to agree on this. American Beauty.
No.
Okay. Watchmen.
No.
Dark Knight.
No.
I also love Nightmare on Elm Street. The original Wes Craven is a genius on that one. And I also love Cruel Intentions.
Yes.
So, are you done? Now, when George Lucas, this is probably the best zombie film since Shaun of the Dead.